Are you looking for that perfect Cameroonian jollof rice recipe? Today I'm going to show you how I make it my way, and yes, Cameroon has one of the best jollof rice. For this recipe, I'm using 1 kilogram of rice, which I'll equally need 800 to 1 kilogram of fresh tomatoes. But for today, I didn't have enough fresh tomatoes, so I'm going to go in with 1 can of fresh chopped tomatoes and 1 pack of pureed tomatoes that has some basil in it. For your other ingredients, you will need your green seasoning. There is no Cameroonian jollof rice without green seasoning, so we'll be using some green bell pepper, some celery, spring onion, and basil. You can add a little bit of perlsy if you so desire. Now for my other ingredients, you will need some ginger, you will need some garlic, and you will need onion, depending on the quantity of rice that you need. And of course, there is no Cameroonian jollof rice without vegetables included. So for my vegetable of choice, I went with carrot, green beans, and some bell peppers. And for my dry seasoning, I'm going in with some white pepper powder, otherwise known as poivre blanc in French, some salt, some Maggi, and of course my special sauce seasoning. You can use any protein of choice. For this recipe, I decided to use chicken and some beef. Now, you want to go ahead and season your chicken. Cook it with the same seasoning that you will be using for your jollof rice base. This is to keep the taste and flavor consistent throughout your meal. So while that is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and prep my sauce. For this recipe, I'm going to start with some onions that I'm going to fry for like a minute. And then I'm going to go in with my fresh tomatoes. I give it a good stir and I will cover it for it to cook. If you realize, I blended my tomatoes separate from my green spice. This is because they all have to go into the pot at different intervals. So I'm going to cook my fresh tomato on medium high heat, not high heat, so it doesn't get burned. Once my tomato is about 80% ready, I'm going to go in and introduce my green seasoning. The green seasoning that we had in the beginning, I put everything here, right? So at this point, I'm also going to add my puree. But if you're not using puree, you will not need this step, okay? No tomato paste. In my recipe, I don't like to use tomato paste. Give that a good mix and let it cook on medium heat. At this point, your tomato is already ready, so drop your heat to medium heat, not high heat. All right, so for this recipe, I will be using basmati rice, and I'm using the fast cook rice. It will take between 10 to 15 minutes to get ready. So while I go ahead to wash my rice, to properly wash my rice, I'm going to continue the seasoning of my sauce. Now I'm adding 1 teaspoon of white pepper powder. I'm adding 1 teaspoon of my special stew seasoning. You can check the description box for that. If you don't have this, it's optional. Back home, our parents would like to add curry powder, but personally, I do not like curry powder in my Cameroon jollof recipe. So but you can go ahead and add curry powder. Instead, I like to add some cayenne pepper and smoked paprika if I have it. Go ahead and add your salt and add your Maggi and give it a good mix. Now, one thing I want to emphasize here is, if you can, try to boil or cook your protein with enough stock that you're going to use to cook your jollof rice, so that when you're seasoning your jollof rice base, you're not going to over season it. Just make the seasoning to be 50% normal in your mouth, or slightly like 52%, but to be on the safe side, just make it 50%, okay? Because the only liquid you're going to be using is your stock. But if you know that you want to use water, pure water, to cook your rice, then season your sauce base like 60%. Let it feel like it is over seasoned like 60%, because that way when you introduce pure water in it, it's gonna balance or even it out. But for this recipe, I'm going to be using 90% liquid from my stock, so I just season it at 50%. And always feel free to taste it so that you can tell if the seasoning is okay or not. You don't have to eyeball this. Don't be scared. Taste your own food, okay? So I kept testing it to make sure that everything was okay, and it was okay. So you go ahead and cover it and let it simmer for like 2 to 5 minutes on medium heat, please, not high heat, so it doesn't get burned, right? And while that is going on, I'll go ahead and prepare my rice. Try to wash your rice as clean as you can. As you can see on this video, wash it until your water is a bit clearer or very clear. Personally, I like to really wash my rice. So at this point, our sauce is cooking and is cooking nicely. I'm going to go ahead and introduce my properly washed rice. What I do is when I wash my rice, I like to strain it a little bit just to take the excess water. Now I'm going to go in to add my stock. Because from the beginning I already knew I'm going to use my stock, I made sure I kept enough stock. And also because I knew that I'm using a fast rice, that means a rice that's not going to take a longer time to cook, I am not over adding water. It is always best to add little stock and then add it later than to over add stock or water, and at the end of the day you cannot take it out. Your rice is going to come out looking very mushy. So add it. It's best to add bit by bit. Cover it, let it cook on medium heat, and you keep checking from time to time. One thing I forgot to mention that you saw in the beginning, I went ahead to steam my carrot and my green beans with a little bit of salt and white pepper. This is because carrot and green beans, they are the harder vegetable that I'm using, and I don't want to overcook it. And I know you'll be introducing this in your rice when your rice is almost ready. But for my bell peppers, I didn't steam it. So at this point, I add all my vegetable, I cover it with a baking sheet, drop my heat from medium to low, and let the vegetable and the rice cook till its completion, just with the heat from the rice. That way I'm not overcooking my vegetable. And voila, you have a delicious pot of Cameroonian jollof rice. At this point, the aroma in my kitchen was amazing. So I go ahead and add some spring onions just for color and beauty of the food. But trust me, it tastes better than it looks. So yeah, that is how I cook my Cameroonian jollof. Let me know in the comment section if you'll be trying it. And you can go with any vegetable of your choice, but this is just the traditional one that we like to use back home. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if it's your first time. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.